Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Okay, now let me start the share screen first. Today we were talking about the minor ethnic groups within China. So share screen, and that will be
It's
this
very
one.
smelly. Oh, that's something very smelly. What is it?
All right. Anybody having problems see the share screen? No?
Everything's fine.
Okay, very good. So, of course, we know that China has the so-called the largest ethnic group is the Han
Let's
people.
have a talk on
But-
China's minority groups.
Yeah,
You know, the
But-
Uyghurs.
but there are China. At least the Chinese government recognize 56 different minor ethnic groups in China. So let's look at some of those. First of all, I'm going to introduce you to one of the. Come on, move to the next page. Not this one. Come back. Okay. Officially recognized 55 minor ethnic groups, including the Han majority, which is 56. As of the 210, the combined population of the officially recognized minority groups represent about 8.5% of the population. These minor ethnic groups officially recognized by the government includes those living within the Taiwan Aborigines. So those in Taiwan, of course, we know that after the Second World War, when Mao took over the mainland China, the then Republic of China or Kuomintang moved to Taiwan and bring us a lot of the original people from mainland China to settle in Taiwan. And of course, in Taiwan, there are other local ethnic groups, and they call that coming from the high mountain. So the China recently there is a talk in the local ABC radio talking about the concept of China being one ethnic group is a recent invention. And I saw the audio only yesterday. So this particular presentation has been prepared about 2 weeks ago. So I probably will try to address that special ABC presentations maybe next year. But anyway, let me just concentrate on what I understand as the minor groups in China for the time being. Okay, where's my...
Even if these machines are safer than human beings.
Sorry, let me just stop this first. It seems that I'm missing some of the slides.
That would lower the road toll.
So let me get back to my navigator.
And you build the algorithms that enable it to drive safely 99.9% of the time. You yourself become responsible for all the accidents in that fraction of percent where the system fails. And that makes it very hard to do. Makes it very, even if you save lives,
sorry, let me just go back to the slide. Okay, the next slide. The location of these minor groups are all scattered mainly in the southern region as well as the western region. This is where the main of the minor ethnic groups are located.
Oh,
Excuse me, Albert.
So included in the minor groups, there are groups of different size. For example, the Zhuang group have about 18 million people, the Manchu 50 million, Xi group 10 million, and so forth. So in a sense, the so-called minor groups represent quite a large population. The other important feature is that all the minor ethnic groups were not subjected to the so-called one-child policy, while the Han groups, especially those in the cities, are under the one-child policy. So the treatment of the minor ethnic groups by the Chinese government is pretty generous, I will argue that way. The Constitution guarantees equal rights to all ethnic minor groups. Actually, the Chinese promotes different ethnic groups
I'll look at it for a little while, but I want to say four corners.
and with a lot of exemption and away from the population growth control in the one-child policy, etc.
Albert, can I just interrupt for a minute, please?
Junior Master Chef.
Yes, please.
Some of the members haven't muted themselves.
Oh, let me
We're
try to
hearing
mute
there
everybody.
all
Let me
sorts
just
of
stop
things.
the share screen, and then I will return to the share screen for the time being. I need to do that to mute everybody. So just hang on a sec.
Thanks, Albert.
Okay, mute everybody.
This is the guy that talks on agriculture, politics, everything. His name's Albert X, IP.
Mute
Um,
or ask. Why I can't mute everybody?
We are muted as far as I can see, Albert. I've unmuted myself to tell you.
Okay.
Except for Lynn Anderson.
Oh,
Mute all. Okay. Thank you, everybody. I
please
mute
mute
everyone.
yourself.
So let me just
Thank
go
you.
back to the share screen. Share screen, and that should be, where's my share screen? This one. Yeah. Okay. And not only they are exempt from their, for example, birth control, they are actually exempt from quite a bit of requirements which applies to the Han people. Now, recently, in one of those minor group areas, the government issued a instruction to the local government officials. If they were of the minor ethnic groups, then they are required to dress in the custom clothing represent that minor groups at least 2 days in a week. And if these officials are attending any important public functions, they are required to dress in their ethnic minor groups' customs. So there's a lot of people accusing the Chinese government trying to suppress the development of minor ethnic groups. But that is an accusation which I can't see any evidence. Continue. Now, there's also quite a number of ethnic groups which were so-called undistinguished by the official classification. It doesn't mean that these different other minor groups are being neglected. These minor other ethnic groups constitute up to 700,000 people, and they are also one major in the poorer region of China, unfortunately, but they are able to also practice their own local customs. Now, one of the most important so-called undistinguished ethnic groups is a group called Mosul. Now, these Mosul groups is what we identify as a group which still practice the family being controlled through the maternity line rather than the father's line. That means in this group, the male children always stay with their mother. When a girl is mature enough, then they will have their own room in the family, and they can invite boys to stay at her room at night. But these men or boys will go back to their mother's place during the daytime and help with their mother's normal household activities or farming activities and so forth. So when there is a property, the property is also inherited by the daughters, it's not inherited by the sons. So this is a Mosul group which still practice their local ethnic customs. Now, China still have quite a bit of foreigners who becomes so-called nationalized to become a Chinese citizen. Almost the only way to become a Chinese citizen is by having marriage relationship with a Chinese nationalities, because China is such a large population, so it's very difficult for foreigners to naturalize to become a Chinese. So that might be a little bit problem. So that would be a strange concept to people in Australia, where we are a migrant countries. To the Chinese, most of the people have been there for hundreds, if not thousands of years. Here I'm going to show you a little video. Let's go.
There is a total of 56 ethnic groups spread throughout China. By far the largest of these groups is Han Chinese, accounting for around 92% of the Chinese population, with the other 55 groups making up the remaining 8%. In fact, Han Chinese account for 20% of our entire world population. Han people can be found all over China. However, they are mostly concentrated towards the eastern half of China, below and around the Yellow River. The Han people heavily influenced China during the Han Dynasty, a period known as the Golden Age of China, where arts and science flourished and religious beliefs, including Buddhism, Taoism, and Confucianism, spread. Mandarin Chinese also originated from the original language of the Han people. The Han people can be credited with many discoveries, such as fireworks, rockets, gunpowder, the crossbow, cannons, matches, paper, printing, paper money, porcelain, silk, the compass, and earthquake detectors. The Han people contributed greatly to the building of the Great Wall, and the terracotta warriors can also be credited to the Han. While these different ethnic groups live together with one another, their culture, traditions, and beliefs can be very different. For example, the Hui ethnic group, found mostly in northwestern China, belong to the Muslim faith, as they are descendants from the Turks. In fact, the Hui ethnic group are the third largest in China. The origin of the Hui people is thought to be from the marriage of Muslim traders and Han locals during the Silk Road period in China. There is also the Manchu ethnic group, which is the 10th largest ethnic group in China. The Manchu people were historically shamanist in their beliefs. The great Manchu shamans would offer sacrifices and perform trance ceremonies to cure sickness and drive away evil. However, during the Qing dynasty, Chinese beliefs had a big impact on the Manchus, and this led to many of them adopting Buddhism as their primary belief system. This still holds today. The Manchu people reside in northeastern China. The Zhuang ethnic group is the second largest in China, with a population of over 16 million. The Zhuang people mainly reside in Guangxi, an autonomous region for the Zhuang people located in southeastern China, bordering Vietnam. The Zhuang people mostly speak Mandarin, but they also have their own language, which uses a script based on the Latin alphabet. There are many, many more ethnic groups in China, with equally fascinating histories, cultures, and beliefs. If you're interested, I encourage you to do some of your own research on these groups. Lastly, if you enjoy these videos and want to support us, you can do so on Patreon. By pledging just $5 a month, you'll get access to our premium Chinese resource library filled with great resources to help you learn and master the Chinese language. Be sure to check the video description for links to our website and Patreon, and thank you so much for watching. We'll see you soon.
Okay, I'm going to show you a collections of different beautiful girls dressed in their local ethnic groups.
Stop Albert.
大家好，我是司徒建国，我在河南郑州。其实这是我第2次来河南，第1次我来看
是什么呀？
少林寺，这次来看第11届少数民族传统体育运动会。今天是开幕式 ，Let's go！ 能跟你们合影吗？欢迎郑州。你是什么民族？哈尼、苗族、藏族是视频，所以我们可以是瞅瞅。茄子。It's about to begin. These games take place every 4 years. They're a great way to keep ethnic traditions alive. Plus, it's really fun. The atmosphere is electric. 让我想起来08年北京奥运会，但是就不是北京，是郑州。This place is amazing. 郑州奥体中心体育场 the Zhengzhou Olympic Sports Center. Brand new. This is the first major sporting event that they're going to hold here. When it was being built, netizens in China referred to it as the Zhengzhou Bird's Nest, similar to Beijing Niaochao. But after it's finished, it looks nothing like the Bird's Nest, but just as amazing. So 河南人会说，咦，这儿老美了。Hello. Hello. 这挺漂亮，我很喜欢他们彩色的衣服，所以我今天穿了粉红的。知道。说一下。Busy watching this. See you later. Hi, Mula. Look how beautiful it is now. Oh, 我的河南话不行。咦，这儿老美了。Wow, look at that guy. Or girl, I can't see from here. I think it's a guy. Aladdin?
不是。
Stretching. So many people. 中国56个民族都在这儿 ，so good. It's amazing. So many people. Even more people. Woo! 种种。Hello. 靠你妹！离我太远了。哇！I love fireworks.
Okay.
Okay.
So I have stopped the screen, and then if anyone of you would like to speak, please unmute yourself. So let's go to a general discussion. Anyone want to start first?
What about the Uyghurs?
The Uyghurs is also ethnic groups, and they are represented somewhere in the above the so-called minor ethnic groups sport events. They are treated just like any other ethnic groups. Now, most of the ethnic groups have their so-called autonomous government. The autonomous government usually will be responsible for the local government's activities. Yeah. Of course, I understand there is a lot of information about different ethnic groups in China, but you can see from the videos I've shown now. This video is not taken by me. I take it from the internet, and many of them were reported by foreigners in China anyway. So it's up to you to choose to believe who is telling the truth and who is not. I will let you make up your mind.
Yeah, but I would think that we would rely on the government, and this government is prepared to criticize China for its treatment of Uyghurs. We assume that there must be some solid evidence.
Well, we have to assume that, but is that assumptions correct or not? That is up to you. For example, there's a lot of people arguing the re-education camps in the Xinjiang region is operate more like a concentration camp, whereas the Chinese government argue that these re-education camps is more like providing tasks, jobs, training to the local people, and after these re-education camps, these people is able to find jobs and make a difference to their life. So yes, I won't dispute the existence of these re-education camps, but these re-education camps is that a forceful forced re-education, or are they voluntary? Now, that is something we are missing in a discussion. To the Chinese government, they say, oh, these are voluntary actions. They operate re-education camps, and local people want to improve their livelihoods, can enroll in this camp, and after a period of time, usually about 2 to 3 months, then you educate. Now, during these times, if you are living in a very far away from these campsites, you may have to be boarding in the education camps. But if you're local, then you can go back home. They are not as described by the local people as prisons. They are not. They are just education schools. In China, because of the vastness of the western areas, the number of people per unit area is very small. So a lot of them have to be boarding. So they will come to a re-education site, live there for 1 or 2 months voluntarily, get trained in some task so that they can go back either to start their own business or join some kind of employment. So
we would think that if they are benign, why doesn't China allow foreign journalists to observe?
Yeah, now there are people going into China and observe that. Yes, there are. For example, I can't remember offhand, but there were some a United Nations what's that called? Is that in a United Nations, people put forward a bill, something like that, equivalent to our bills, and some of them criticize China. So when we look at that kind of proposal or declaration in the United Nations, the declarations is supported by a lot of Western countries who haven't sent any observer into the Xinjiang regions, but these declarations were opposed by the Muslim countries who had sent observers into China. China doesn't want a journalist who have a already biased view to go into China and continue propagating a false accusation. So they don't allow that. So I think we can understand that. For example, if people coming from a particular
Albert, the problem is that we really can't make up our own minds about that. We don't have enough evidence.
Yep.
As soon as somebody criticises anything, they're not allowed in. So we don't have any chance to weigh up any evidence. Have you been to these regions?
No, I haven't.
Yourself?
So what I can do is only show you what I can find. So as I said before, let us make up our minds ourselves. This is the only we need to see the evidence in both sides, right? And we understand that the Western media is as biased as the Chinese media. Medias, by its own definition, are biased. So we need to be aware of this one. Now,
Can I ask Albert? You gave evidence that the Chinese government respects the culture of the minority groups
Yep.
and encouraging them to integrate.
Yep.
But where the Uyghurs are going, it seems to be a monoculture. They seem to be targeting that one particular minority group, and I think it's questionable that they're going there voluntarily and they're staying for only a month or two.
No.
There's a very big, they've seen satellite views that the buildings are increasing, that there's more and more buildings there. But my main point is it seems to be one minority group there. So how can you explain that?
No, being minority groups, that means in a particular region, there is a dominantly a special groups which have its own ethnic customs and even language. Now, China is very large. Most of the population is in the East Coast. So the further you venture into the West, the population density decrease very rapidly. So in the western areas, especially in those poorer areas, we will be able to find a lot of ethnic groups. These ethnic groups will live in little enclaves, and these little enclaves are usually autonomously governed by their local people. So, and the Chinese also recognize that the Chinese government also recognize that the Han people, the so-called Chinese people, represent about 92% of the whole population. So to them, about 8% or to the 9% of these ethnic minority groups, they have their customs, and there's no threats, I would say, to their control of the country by these 9% people. So accusations saying that Chinese government suppresses local ethnic customs, I can't find any proof of that, to me at least. When we look, for example, when I look into...
But Albert, we can't find any proof that it's not the case, because if I went to China and wanted to go to those places and look at them myself, I wouldn't be allowed.
Put it this way. There are two regions foreigners are not allowed to go into. These two regions is the Xinjiang region as well as the Tibetan region. These are the two regions. Now, these two regions might represent quite a large area in China, but the population in these two regions together is less than 1% of the Chinese population. Now, outside these two regions, there are other areas, like, for example, Guizhou. If you want to go to Guizhou, there's no limitations to anyone going to Guizhou. Within Guizhou, there's at least 40 different minor ethnic groups. And you can go there and visit these minor ethnic groups and enjoy their local performance as well as cuisine. And that's what the Chinese government encourage the local ethnic groups to retain in order to act as a ethnic tourism, which attracts quite a bit of people from the Han Dan group as well. So yes, there are two regions which Chinese government do not allow foreigners to go in because there are separatist movement in that two regions. But in other areas, Guangxi or Guizhou or other region you can go there at any time you like, and there are lots of ethnic minor groups in that regions, and you can observe for what you like to observe. There's no problem in that kind of areas.
Albert, I actually went to the far west of China on the Tibetan border there at one stage, and a place called Tiger Leaping Gorge, which you might know of. And there were a lot of people there, and they would dance, doing dances and what have you in the street, and they were very much like Tibetans rather than Chinese, but we were still in China, as it were, but there didn't seem to be any particular suppression, and there were even Europeans there running shops, which was rather strange. It's a very interesting place.
When was that? When were you there?
Quite a while ago, maybe 7 or 8 years ago, maybe longer. My daughter was living in China, and I always wanted to go and see Tiger Leaping Gorge, which is a place right over in the far west of China. And we went over there, and as she lived there, she'd been living in China for about a year, so she knew exactly how to go to these places and what thing, you know. We just stayed in a little old, like a hostel, but it was pretty rough and ready, but it was still very enjoyable, you know, because there were people dancing in the streets, and the only problem with it was they used too much of that taste powder in the food, and it gave you a headache.
I
If you
think
get a chance to go to the far west of China, do so. It's beautiful, very interesting place. There you are.
yeah, no, the Chinese, like any other countries, the government will try to suppress any separationist agenda. So if, for example, there's a group of people here in Australia arguing for, say, the independence of Victoria, I think our federal government will suppress that group. So I think that is what any other national government will do, including the Chinese government. So if there are separatist movement, for example, in Tibet or Uyghur regions, of course they will suppress that kind of movement. Of course, that is like any other country. There's no country in the world which will allow separatist movement to become popular. But other than that, China is a very large country. There are a lot of different ethnic groups in different part of the country. For example, one of the video I show you, every 4 years they have a ethnic minor groups athletic meets organized at different countries. The one I'm showing you is just happened to have occurred this year, 2020, somewhere I think it's in August, so it's quite late, and you can see all different minor ethnic groups come there in their own custom dressing, dancing. There's no conflict between these people.
We saw several different well, they were obviously tribes, I suppose you'd call them, but
Yeah.
Their dress was different. Where as we moved across China over to the far west, the people, their dress changed quite considerably.
Yep.
And by the time we got to near Tibet, they were completely different to what they were like on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Absolutely different.
Yeah. And then, as I said, there are government policies specifying that in the autonomous regions of different ethnic groups, the officials being of that ethnic groups are required to dress in their ethnic group's customs at least 2 days of a week during office time. Okay, and if they are going to participate in any official activities, they are required to dress in their official ethnic groups customs. Like, for example, lately, the China's National Congress has just been held. The 5th National Congress for this term, and you will be able to see a lot of the national representatives dressed in their national customs to participate. That's quite normal. So China celebrate diversity is not suppressing diversity.
But when we were there, there's quite a lot of officials there which are actually Han Chinese.
Yeah.
And like the police and things like that, they're nearly all Han Chinese.
Well, the Han has a large population. You just remember, 92% are Han people. So Han is everywhere, obviously. But it doesn't mean that local ethnic groups is being suppressed. No, of course, Han people and the local ethnic groups are living together, including having marriages together as well. But some of the local ethnic groups, again, because of their local customs, do not want to marry Han people. And that's up to them, and nobody is saying you can or you can't. It's up to the individuals.
Oh, but where there are groups with their own language, presumably there needs to be a common language throughout the country. What is the main language?
The main language is, of course, what we call the Mandarin or the Putonghua. Okay, and this language is being taught throughout China as a national language. But at the same time, for those local ethnic groups, they have their other lessons which teach their local ethnic language. They are not suppressing the teaching of other language. What they only say is that, just like here, for example, English is our official language. So you will expect every school will teach English, including those schools in the Aboriginal regions. But at the same time, the school in those Aboriginal regions will be allowed to teach their local language. Isn't that what any other school in every country would like to operate?
Yes, I think it would be an advantage. It means that everybody has 2 languages.
Well, I will argue that everybody should have 4 languages if I'm the education ministers. Okay, the first language is the so-called national language. For example, in Australia here, English will be compulsory national language. Okay, the second language being, we are a mostly migrant countries. Then you should be able to at least know your own ethnic language. For example, I'm Chinese, so I would expect my children to also learn Chinese at school. The third is a third foreign language. For example, you may want to learn French, German, or whatever, a third foreign language in order to communicate in the world. And the last one, I will argue you will need to learn a computer language in order to program a computer. So to me, I will argue children should learn at least 4 different languages. So if you just happen to be Han, so you learn your Han, which is Mandarin, and remember, even Han people has a lot of dialects. For example, I'm a Cantonese, so you will also need to learn Cantonese.
Albert, what happened when we were there? Oh, hello, Eve. How are you? Just over here. What happened when we were there? I met quite a lot of people, mostly ladies, and what they had done, they'd been brought over from Australia and other English-speaking countries, and they were put up to teach Chinese people English.
Yep.
And I think it was a government scheme, and these people were Australian, natural English-speaking people, and they were brought over there for 12 months at least and given a flat to live in, or a kind of apartment as they call them now, given a flat to live in and a salary, and they were all just there to teach the local people English.
Yeah. Well, the best way to teach a language is by living with the people who speak that language.
But these people were hired by, I don't know who they were. I think it was the government. And they were there, and they were given a salary and a flat to live in.
Yeah.
Just teach people their English.
But these are some of these so-called school policies. For example, in as far as I know, in Hong Kong, there is a special government education policies that each school is given a bit of money to employ native speaking teachers from around the world to teach that language. So, for example, if a school choose to say the second language is French, then they will be able to employ a French nationals from French who is willing to teach in that school with the funding. So they pay the salary, pay the accommodation, and for a period of time, they employ someone who is a native French to teach in their school. So this is ongoing. So, for example, my school choose to teach French as a second language. Then I will continuously employ some French native speakers to be a teacher in my school. I think that's the best way to teach, isn't it? And the student will learn the actual language easier in that way, because the teacher doesn't speak any other language except French. So in order to communicate them, you really have to interact in the language.
Albert, I have a question.
Yeah, please.
You were talking about journalists not being allowed into the separatist groups, into the areas. But not being allowed in, you don't know why these people are wanting to have separatist governments. This is what my comment would, if you let the journalist in, at least get some comments plus some minus to know what's going on in the separatist group.
It is a long story. Put it this way. From what happened in last year in Hong Kong, or in 2014 in Hong Kong, there are 2 large-scale protests. In the 2014, it's called the Occupy Central Movement. And in the 2019, last year, we also had this so-called umbrella, yellow umbrella movement, or the rioting in Hong Kong. So we will have to ask why there are such kind of riots in Hong Kong, and what are these people promoting? So if we are really interested in this kind of things, we need to look in a larger context. Are these people just angry about the local government, or are these people having other agenda? So we will have to look at what are they trying to promote in the so-called their protests. What I have noticed is that it seems that these people are very well funded by some organizations. For example, let's take 2019, last year, the riots in Hong Kong. You will see these people all dressed in black. They all have helmets. They all seems to have very good protective gears, and they move in a very well organized, synchronous ways, many times outperforming the local police. So we have to ask, where are the money that these people got their equipments from? And then we can also see there are trucks coming into the protest regions and offloading hundreds, if not thousands, of these protest via gears to the local people. So who is supplying all this material to these so-called spontaneous protesters? Where is that money coming from? So,
Mr. Albert, where did you see this evidence?
well, this
How did you
evidence are
come by this
available
evidence?
online if you can search it in Chinese.
Oh,
Unfortunately,
yes. So it's online evidence provided by China.
no, it's online evidence provided by people in Hong Kong. Now, it's not a Chinese. Now, for example, I don't know whether you realize I'm now a YouTuber on YouTube. So if you search my name, Albert Yip, you'll find two channels. The channel I'm now using is Albert Yip English channel, which has approximately 1,000 subscribers. But you also search for my name, Albert Yip, you see another channel, just Albert Yip. In that particular channel, I have over 100,000 subscribers. Now, what does that mean is that a lot of people know that I speak for the people in Hong Kong in Cantonese. That's my other channel, which is a Cantonese channel, and my subscriber numbers is now existing 100,000. So I have a very large subscriber base, put it that way. And because of that, there is a lot of people who are in Hong Kong. During the riots times, they themselves were in Hong Kong using their mobile phones, taking photo videos, and then send the videos to me and ask me to promote the idea, promote what they had seen on the street. So I have to trust these people. They come out and say, okay, here is Albert who got like audience. This is what I see. I want you to spread the news. So I'm constantly being fed this information. Then at the same time, I have to verify, what are the motives of these people sending me this kind of videos. So I also ask all other KOLs, the key from YouTube's, and ask them to verify, are these the video that you see on the ground? Because I'm not in Hong Kong, and many of the videos coming in has been verified before I put it up. So yes, because I'm quite a famous YouTuber, I am being fed a lot of videos, and one of my main tasks here, sitting here, is asking my friends in Hong Kong to verify whether these videos are true or not. So I'm quite sure these videos is not taken by the Chinese government. It's coming from my own subscriber base. Yep, please.
Thank you.
You haven't unmuted yourself.
Sorry. I was just going to say what you see can be interpreted in a number of different ways.
Yep.
It seems to me that you're implying that there may be other forces that are influencing the Hong Kong people who want to protest against the loss of freedom. But it could also be interpreted that